To the tail end of 2017, we look back and there were several sort of developments or sort of breakout performances of the year. We started the year early with Gervonta Davis winning his first world title. A little bit later in the year, we saw David Benavidez become the youngest current world champion. And those are two of the breakout performances, but probably, not to demean any of those, because those are two exciting young fighters, but no one had a bigger breakout than Errol Spence this year. For a couple of years, Errol had been a guy who everyone was watching, and then he went over to Sheffield, made pretty quick work of Kell Brook, a very tough Kell Brook on foreign soil, and now he's being mentioned, rightfully so, among the most talented fighters in boxing. So with that, the IBF welterweight world champion, Errol Spence.
How everybody doing today?
Good.
Happy to be on the podium. It's been a long time coming. I haven't stood in front of y'all since me winning announcing my fight with Kell Brook and me winning my world title. But now it's time to defend my title, capture more titles, become the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, and that's what I'm willing to do next year. My next fight will probably be in January, mid-January. Not sure the venue yet, but it will be against Lamont Peterson. That's it.
A man of few words.
We have microphones here for questions, guys. Don't be shy.
We're joined now by another guy who can stake claim to perhaps being the best welterweight on the planet, and another guy who can stake claim to being one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He's been off. He's recovered from an injury. He's healthy now. He's a newlywed. Congratulations on that. Thank you. And say a couple of words to everybody. Keep telling what's been going on. And I think you can expect keeping the ring in the first quarter of next year.
Good evening.
Good
That's
evening.
a loud mic. I don't know that now. But what's up, everybody, man? And I'm glad to be back in the U.S. I spent over 100 days overseas with my wife. It's a new chapter in my life. Once when the doctor said, "You got 6 months no boxing," I said, "Well, looks like I'm getting married." Everything happens for a reason. I'm 28 years old. I'll be 29 real soon. It doesn't feel good to not be an active fighter while you're in your prime, but like I said, everything happens for a reason. I believe myself that I'm extremely blessed. I'm champion of the world. I hold 2 world titles. I work really hard to be in this position. I've been boxing since the age of 7. For the most part, all my dreams are coming true, minus a few injuries along the way. Luckily, when I touched down, I talked to my doctor here at HSS on Wednesday. We got some good news. He felt around, he checked it out. He said, "Yeah, you're still lacking a little bit of range of motion," but he talked about throwing around some medical terms, possible PRP therapy, a little bit of grafting, cupping, some extra stretching, and things to break up some tissues. And like I said, he threw around some medical terms, but it sounded like we're in a stage, and after doing a few days of therapy over here, it's feeling a lot better just from a few days of real intensive therapy, which makes me feel like I'm in what we call the bounce back stage. It's not going to be long that I'll be back in the ring, and hopefully my arm will be working better than ever. So like Lou said, we're estimating something like the first quarter of next year, mid-February, early March. There's no solid date, there's no solid opponent, but I do look forward to getting back in the ring, defending my world titles that I hold currently, and then taking that momentum and giving you guys some more exciting fights in 2018. So, this your boy, Keep One Time Thurman. I'm back.
Question. I'm wondering, is it coincidence that these two guys are here together
see them on parallel tracks in a collision course at the end of 2018? Keith, Errol, Stephen, Lou?
Well, they'll answer that part themselves, but I think one thing that does need to change, we need to change the narrative. One of the criticisms of boxing, and at times it's been justified, is that, you know, the right fights don't get made. If you look real closely at Showtime Boxing over the last couple of years, we haven't had any problem making fights. Whether it was, you know, Keith and Danny Garcia, or Keith and Sean Porter, or, you know, Errol and Kell Brook, or the featherweights, or this evening's card with the super welters. Guys are fighting each other, and guys are taking the tough fights, and the best are fighting the best. So, yeah, I have a good sense of what these two guys are going to say, but I'll let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, you know, unification doesn't happen except for right here. You know, ain't nobody worrying about Jeff Horn overseas. It's real talk. So, you know, a lot of boxing people, like, I've been throwing around the Miss Cleo factor. They like to predict the future. You know, they like to really know what's happening before it's really happening. He's got to fight. I have to come back. I would like to get some momentum going. But real talk, later next year, you know, I just unified, so going after another belt later next year is a little bit more in the works. If it manifests in late 18, early 19, we don't have a date. We're not really talking about that. I've never seen a contract with Errol Spence's name on it, and I know he hasn't seen a contract with my name on it. You know, so that's just real talk for you guys who like to talk about the future of boxing. That's just some real talk from me, and it's direct. It's real information, but I look forward, for those who know who Keith One Time Thurman truly is, I'm the same. I look forward to continuing my legacy and dominating the welterweight division. So I congratulate Errol Spence for that victory overseas. You know, brought it back, boy. That was real. That was a great performance. Two world-class fighters, and Errol, he showed that he was the better man. So the thing that I love is that when we go toe-to-toe, you know, it's going to be the greatest American fighter. We're both American fighters. I competed in the 2007 Olympic trials. He competed in the Olympic Games. You know, we both have extensive amateur backgrounds, and this is what we were bred for. You know, so those who think, like, you know, talking this and that, these people don't want to fight each other. This is the fight life. This is what we live, you know. But we will do a little bit of business. I will be smart. I'm not jumping back in the ring after an injury, going after another champion. When we go toe-to-toe, it will be the right moment, I believe, for the both of us. And that's what I got to say.
Spence, what venues will be considered for the Lamont fight?
Either the Barclays Center or somewhere in the West Coast. I don't know yet.
Possibly on the West Coast?
It could be.
And what part of January you think?
Mid-January.
And why Peterson, did he give up his belt to fight you? Was that a strategy of his or something?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to him, but you know, he wanted to fight another, you know, world champion. That's the guy who stepped up and said he'll take the fight. So that's the guy I accepted. He's a top 5 welterweight.
Errol over here.
How's it going, Errol?
Errol, you're gonna fight Peterson next. I'm sure you've seen Lamont fight over the years. He's been one of the top guys, both at junior welterweight, also at welterweight. Can you just give your scouting report on what you think about him in the ring? He's been a little bit inactive, but he's certainly proven himself to be a quality contender, a champion over the years.
He's a hell of a fighter. He's somebody that I looked up to as an amateur. He's somebody I sparred in the amateurs and you know, learned a lot from him. I was had a training camp with him at the Olympic Training Center. You know, he gave me, you know, different stuff and different advice, you know, and how to punch and how to slow down my punches and how to speed them up. So, you know, he's a guy that, you know, that I really look up to. And, you know, he's one of my favorite fighters. He's a guy that fight anybody. You know, I never known him to, you know, duck a fight or say no to a fight. He always fought the best, like Luca Matisse, Tim Bradley, you know, all these tough names, you know, fought Victor Ortiz. So, I'm looking for Lamont has true grit. He's a real fighter. He's a guy that gives it all and has a big heart. So I see it as being a great fight for me.
Keith over here. Keith, I know you said there's no opponent as of yet for your next fight, but you're gonna look towards the winner of the Sean Porter, Adrian Granado's fight as a possible opponent, seeing that Sean's kind of fought his way into contendership and beating Andre Berto earlier this year?
Even with, I know how eager Sean wants to get back in the ring with me and do the rematch, but I don't think that I'll be taking that level of a fight coming off of my injury. I think we're going to get just a welcome back fight. Throw the arm around, test it out, have a good camp, injury-free camp, then take the momentum from that, and there can possibly, we can get in the mix with Sean after that. I'd be surprised if that's the first name coming back, you know? I mean, you're talking about a whiplash accident that I experienced in 2017, then having recovering from that, having an 8-week training camp, fighting Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, surgery, and then coming back and fighting Sean Porter. So, I mean, that's a dog after a dog after a dog, you know what I mean? So, we might not run that deep when we jump right back into the sport, but you best believe when I brush the dust off, we'll get moving and get right back to work against top quality fighters in the welterweight division.
Is Sean Porter next for you, or you're not sure?
No, I don't believe so.
Didn't he just
obviously
answer?
Can be in the near future. He is one of the fighters I believe that deserves the rematch. I believe the fans here that came would come again and definitely support that show. It was nominated Fight of the Year. So simple business to make that rematch happen. I'm not against it, but I just don't see that manifesting for my comeback fight.
Right here. The first question is for Errol. Since you're fighting in January, you've been inactive, no fault of your own. But do you see 2018 being a year of 3 fights?
Definitely. I talked to my manager about that, about being more active, and I feel like I can come back this year, but coming back next year, and it looks like I probably will be fighting 3 times next year.
Okay. And this question is for Keith. So you have to do a training camp, and it's going to be about 8 weeks. So it's realistic to say that you're going to be back in, that you said late February, about March or so.
Yes.
So you're going to be fighting someone. It's guaranteed in the top 15 to be the WBC or the WBA, correct?
That should be correct, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're not. Like I said, we're not looking at anybody in particular right now. I'm still kind of focused on my rehab for the next 4 to 6 weeks. That's pretty much what's on my mind. But from there, eventually we'll start seeing what manifests through our team, Haney.
I have a follow-up for Errol, over here, Errol. Before your fight with Peterson, I guess, was put together, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion that you got offered a promotion contract by Golden Boy, perhaps an opportunity to fight with Del Cotto and want to be his, what he says would be his final fight coming up in December. Can you just give your side of that? Was that offer made? What were your thoughts about it, and what was the reason why you would like to make the decision that you did?
Yes, the offer was made from Golden Boy. I mean, everybody been trying to get me. Every promoter, you name of it, been trying to get me since I turned pro. And I just declined it. I don't want a promoter right now. I feel like I'm gonna start my own promotion company probably later next year and do my own thing. I'm already fighting on the network. I'm already main event. I'm already getting great money, so I don't see what a promoter can offer me.
Errol, you have a history of beating guys worse than other guys that beat them. Lamont Peterson was knocked out, I guess, in the 3rd round by Matisse, went the distance with Danny Garcia, the fight some people thought he won, and he lost, to Tim Bradley. Your thoughts on how you hope to look against him?
I want to look a lot sharper than the Kell Brook fight. Lamont, he's a tricky fighter. He's been around the block. So, he's tricky. He does a lot of, cagey, veteran things. And I'm looking to get a lot of experience in that fight. I'm still a young fighter. I'm still young in my career. This is only my 5th year. So I'm just looking to get a lot of experience in that fight. I don't know if I'm gonna stop him early. I don't know if I'm gonna stop him late. But we're gonna train for 12 hard rounds because I know Lamont always comes in shape. He always come ready to fight.
What are your thoughts right now, sitting, you know, in such close proximity with Keith, you know, in front of us, knowing that this fight could be the fight that he was saying, you know, potentially a Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns type of fight, you know, that in this era, and you, Keith, could you answer the question also?
I mean, my thoughts been what it's been since I was 15-0 when I said, you know, I'll fight Keith Thurman, anybody in the top 5. I mean, like he said, he gotta wait and get ready, and you know, gotta go through rehab. But I'm ready when he is, and I'm always ready. So it don't matter if it's the first quarter or it's second quarter or if it's next year. You know, I'm gonna be ready. I'm always ready to fight the best. You know, I have a goal, I have a dream to be the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And I'm not gonna let anybody stop me from that path. So, you know, this is the fight that I've been wanting with Keith Thurman for the longest. So I mean, you know, he's been making excuses, said that, you know, I haven't proven myself. I ain't win the world title. Said he's gonna bust my bubble. So, I mean, I'm waiting to find out what he's gonna do.
I have a question for everybody on the dais, starting with Keith and Errol.
Hold up, my man, hold up. I'm supposed to retort. I'm supposed to also It's okay, man. You know, I look forward to the fight. I look forward to great competition, you know, and Errol is that. He's great competition. You know, my motto stayed the same. I gotta, I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, you know. Because when I train and when I fight, I give it my best. And even if you start getting at me, it just makes me dig. You know, a lot of people don't understand what it's like to live the life of a fighter. But I'm that true warrior, you know. I remember when I was coming up and Max Kellerman, I believe it was, some TV guy asked me backstage, you know, what's gonna happen the day that you get hit? You know? And I looked at him like, you ain't never seen me get hit. You know, I was sparring world champions when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. You know, I always say, I used to get my ass whooped, so now I have the right to whoop ass, you know? It was a long road to be where I am today, to have the knowledge that I have about the sport of boxing. You know, I'm definitely a student of the game. Errol too, he's a student of the game. Tremendous fighter, I'm a tremendous fighter. And great competition. Real great competition. I tell people this every once in a while, man. There's nothing more satisfying in life, including sex, all right? There ain't nothing, all right? I'm just a real one, okay? There ain't nothing more satisfying than a good motherfucking fight. There's a level of adrenaline that your body produces. Natural hormonal, natural instincts, right? Like, it's just different, man. It's just different. I like the blood flowing. I like the pump. I like being in danger. I like the threat. I like being in danger. And a lot of fighters don't put me in danger. A few fighters have put me in danger. And I know he's going to be training really hard trying to put me in danger, you know. But I live for that. And I want to rise to the occasion and show them what the truth really looks like. So at the end of the day, man, this is a fight that you guys been talking about, you won't stop talking about, and you should keep talking about it, because when it manifests, when it goes down, it will be one of the best fights in this federation, as long as he stays at the top, does his job, I stay at the top and do my job, but I don't really see nobody stopping me.
Hey Keith, question for everybody on the dais, starting with Keith and Errol. What are your feelings about the issue of athletes standing for the national anthem?
I just got back into America, so I'm going to be real simple and say no comment.
I mean, I don't see it as a disrespect to the soldiers. You know, it's more of a, you know, standing up for the rights. I mean, you know, he's basically doing that because, you know, you have young, you know, black men, minority men getting gunned down and, you know, and killed in the streets. You know, and it's no justice for it. So that's why, you know, Kaepernick did what he did. I think it's, you know, it's all getting blown out of proportion. You know, everybody's having different views on things, but when you get down to the root of it, you know, can you say, is he lying? I mean, you look at the stats and look at the statistics of what's going on in America, I mean, it's true what he's saying. So, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, he's not disrespecting the soldiers. I mean, he even said it, you know, he respected soldiers. I respect the soldiers. I respect them for defending this country. So, I mean, I'm with it.
Lou? Hey, Keith, let me ask you, after you have your...
Wait.
Hold on. Lou.
I think the reason that soldiers go to war is so that people have the right to free speech and free expression, and I know veterans who have said that they went to war and fought so that people could kneel and make a statement, and I have no issue with it. I think it's someone's conscience that dictates that, and their freedom of expression.
Will you support it?
Yeah.
And Stephen?
Well, on that issue, I think there are two disappointing aspects to, in my opinion. One is that we're no longer having a conversation about it. We have become so divided on this issue that it's now about military and who's patriotic, and that never was what Colin Kaepernick set out to do. So we're not even engaging in a conversation between two groups with different opinions. One group is talking about inequalities and social justice. Another group is talking about whether, playing the national anthem and what's appropriate for as a sign of respect before it. So the conversation's not there. And I think the second disappointing part is part of the reason why the conversation isn't there, is that we have a president who, instead of unifying, as leaders are supposed to do, he has chosen to prey upon this and really deepen the divide and pander to certain base instincts. So it's candidly where the issue is right now is rather depressing, because I don't see progress being made. It's just getting worse.
Thomas, one last thing. I also think that the guy that did 3 term, tours of duty in Afghanistan on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who elected to come out and stand, had a right to do that too, and shouldn't have been shamed for doing that either. So, I have my own opinion, but I think this is all about being what America's supposed to be, is freedom. It's what people go to war for, it's what they fight for, and equality. And I think I agree with Stephen that the terms of engagement have to change in terms of discussion and communication, and that probably starts with the problems we have with the guy leaving the country. So that's the end of politics.
Good stuff. Hey, Keith Thurman, after you have your welcome back fight, you kind of alluded to it, but what would you say would be the biggest fight for you at the welterweight division, when you're ready, you feel 100%, and who do you feel will be like your toughest competition, your Sugar Ray Leonard, your Hagler type of opponent?
Well, one thing that I was very excited about, roughly somewhere about maybe 2 years ago, or maybe even a year ago, was the undefeated champions at welterweight. Kell Brook got beat by Triple G. That messed up everything. He was still undefeated welterweight. I kept saying that until Errol really put that L in his backpack for him. So now he walks around with that. We had Danny Garcia as an undefeated welterweight. I handled that. So we're running out of undefeated welterweights. There's a great competition, hands down, in the welterweight division. But, like I said, ain't nobody thinking about that Jeff Horn boy, But EJ and myself, to me, we're the only real dogs left. So when we get in, when we get in the ring together, it should be elevated, and the stakes that are on the line, what it means for the welterweight division. Real talk, everybody knows there's no Floyd Mayweather. Real talk, everybody knows there's no Manny Pacquiao. Real talk, everybody thinks they know who the real champion is. But real talk is the king of the welterweight division will manifest within 1 to 2 years. That's real talk. And it happens by unifying these belts, which is not a crazy leap. You know, it's not something that we cannot achieve. It's tangible. You can reach out and grab it. You know, we can make these fights happen. So for me, I'm excited to be at the top. This is my dream. I remember when I was young, we used to be on before Facebook, what was MySpace, right? Remember that, right? It was MySpace. I'm old enough to act like we got to go back in time to remember things now. But MySpace, I put up on my little headliner. At first, I had some dirty stuff that I had to take down, but I had to do something that maybe that Mama could appreciate. So I put "Living a Dream." I remember living a dream because my life was boxing, and boxing is my dream, and I get to live it, and now I'm champion. But I wanted 1 belt. I want 2 belts. I want 3 belts. I want to be the best welterweight in the welterweight division. The welterweight division has immense history, tremendous history, and I'm just doing my best to be a part of that history.
Real talk, Stephen, please, and I guess Lou or even Keith can chime in if he wants. Sorry, I actually really liked the phrase real talk. That wasn't satire at all. But real talk, though, it felt like there was a great opportunity after Errol beat Kell Brook overseas, because obviously England's crazier about boxing than America is, unfortunately, but hashtag real talk. To give this welterweight division, which is deep, and as Keith mentioned, at the top, we really don't know who number 1 is right now, and it's not Horn or Pacquiao for sure. To give this division sort of the prestige it deserves, to find out who's number 1, to make Errol and Keith global figures. Keith is hurt, and for whatever reason, Errol was inactive thereafter. What's the plan to regain that momentum or to elevate the division to where it should be, where you have guys now? I mean, it's great for Keith to say that in 1 or 2 years we'll find out who the king is, and that may or may not be accurate, but that's definitely not a great tagline for a fight. Find out in 1 or 2 years who's going to be the king. So, you know, how do you get back to that place where you have that huge crowd in Sheffield cheering for Errol because he beat Kell, and maybe it's not there, but getting that momentum to this division?
Well, you're overlooking one piece of it.
Probably more than that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and the fact is, what you skipped over was, Keith fighting on CBS before an audience that Keith did, well over 5 million people. And Keith can tell you personally, what the impact of that fight has been on his career. So the reality, we might be sitting here instead of Deontay headlining in a couple weeks. If not for the injury, that might have been Keith and Errol. But the good thing is these guys are young guys, and everything in due time. The great thing is people have forgotten about Damian and Sean. And it's not great that they've forgotten, but it's great that they're still there. And
the idea is that they are there, but people are forgetting. Like
Keith
had a great fight on CBS, he just got injured, and that's that. It's the forgetting. Right. Obviously, the quality's there. I know that. That's sort of the premise of the question.
Right. No, and they will get back in. When we set upon this thing, and this started 2 years ago, the idea is this was going to be a Ron Round. If Errol ends up fighting Danny Garcia, no one cares that Danny Garcia's got 1 loss. And I think people are comparing it to, Floyd Mayweather status. It's going to be a while before someone gets Floyd Mayweather status or Manny Pacquiao status. That's once in a generation. But you are looking at the young stars in boxing, and it's up to you guys to remind people of that.